Joe.
Good morning, afternoon, everybody. How's everyone doing? It's an honor and privilege to address you guys today as the Executive Director of the Social Justice Center of Albany. And a question was posed last night out loud in a cafe when I was just sitting there trying to do some work. And a woman said, how could this be about race? Because, George Zimmerman's not even white, she said. And I think that's an important thing because there's a couple things to know. First and foremost, George Zimmerman's father was a state Supreme Court justice. That's about the highest levels, you can reach in terms of power, privilege, and authority, and he was white as well. So he possessed white privilege for that reason. But there's another thing that not everybody talks about, because America's racist, so they see us Latinos as just one, giant blob of people of color. And our reality is a complicated one, because the majority of us Latinos experience racism, both historically and currently, on the same level as Black Americans. That's our reality. But we also have another reality. And another reality is, especially in our home countries, we have light-skinned Latinos who perpetrate racism against dark ones. And that's been part of our history since the beginning. America doesn't realize that, because America doesn't, America sees things really in color and non-color. So Latinos are seen one way, and so they're saying they can't imagine that, you could accuse someone like George Zimmerman of being racist. But then there's another thing, too, with George Zimmerman, and that's George Zimmerman wasn't just being racist that day, but George Zimmerman's also a sexist. George Zimmerman attacked his wife, stalked her. George Zimmerman assaulted his female cousin. The jurors don't know that. That was never in a jury. But those women came forward and made those statements. Look it up. You can read it in Washington Post, Nation Magazine. And so the question that comes up is why? Why do these things happen? And we live in a system that, in order to exist, has to have a large underclass. A large underclass has to exist for this system to thrive, for the people with the most resources to continue to get the most resources possible. And institutions like racism and sexism thrive under those conditions because they are the basis for division. And when you have division, you can maintain a large underclass, which is what we are. And it's what people were were talking about when they said the 99%. Robert Zimmerman, the father of George Zimmerman, is part of the 1%. The 1% of people have power, authority, and privilege, right? And a criminal justice system is run by members of the 1%. And racism and sexism, both amongst our people, in the case of Latinos, and against each other, are the things that allow the 1% to continue to maintain their power and privilege. And this has happened since the founding of our country. And so when you ask yourself, how could someone like George Zimmerman go free? Ask yourself how the killers of Emmett Till could go free.
Right. Yes.
Ask yourself how the man who shot Medgar Evers could go free.
Yes.
Right? This is not new. We've seen this movie. We've been watching this movie for the past 200 years. The irony is we're convinced something's changed.
Yes.
Yet we have a criminal justice system that has more Black men in chains in some capacity or other than ever were in slavery. And we're sitting here while it's happening. That's the reality we live under. The prison system, once you were on that other side of that wall, you were treated just the way slaves were treated. With no rights, no sense of justice, and more importantly, no sense of humanity. And it is the belief that Black Americans, dark brown Americans, do not have humanity that is the basis for the killing of Trayvon Martin. This is the system we live in and the system that we operate from. When we understand that, we can understand how these circumstances can take place. Thank you.